Good evening, everyone. Welcome to NTD Tonight. I'm David Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's top stories. A judge dismisses Trump's motion to throw out one of his criminal cases in New York. Trump and his legal team claims it's election interference. Another ongoing case related to Trump in Georgia. District Attorney Fani Willis and prosecutor Nathan Wade took to the stand to address their relationship allegations. There is a buzz in California's Central Valley. Thieves are targeting beehives and farm equipment. Former President Trump's New York criminal trial is set to begin March 25th. Trump is accused of falsifying business records related to funds that were previously sent to two women who claimed that they had affairs with Trump. NTD's David Lam has the details.
Here in New York City, the judge has denied the motion to dismiss Trump's case in the alleged hush money issue. Now, let's take a look at what happened. New York Supreme Court Justice Juan Merchan said on Thursday that the alleged hush money trial would proceed next month with jury selection. Former President Trump's attorneys blasted the decision, saying that Trump will have to stand trial while he's attempting to wrap up his Republican presidential nomination.
This is all from the DOJ. This all comes out of Washington. It says you take a look at the legal documents and the legal scholars writing about this. They say there's no crime. This is no crime. But outside, right outside their courthouse, this courthouse, people are being murdered. So it's a very unfair situation. They want to keep me nice and busy so I can't campaign so hard. But maybe we won't have to campaign so hard because the other side is incompetent. The other side's done a horrible job running this country.
The expected 6-week trial comes after Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg brought his 34-count indictment accusing the former president of falsifying business records.
But as far as this is concerned, it's election interference by Biden because it's the only way he can think to get elected because he's accomplished nothing.
Trump's former attorney admitted to arranging payments to adult actress Stormy Daniels and former model Karen McDougal, both of whom alleged they had affairs with Trump. But Trump has denied the affairs and any wrongdoing. The indictment, he said, was political persecution, while the repayments to his attorney were legitimate legal expenses. Amid the allegations that Trump is facing, he showed optimism, saying that he won't let it get to him and that he will campaign during the nighttime and go to court during the day. Reporting in New York City, David Lam, NTD News.
Now let's take a look at other top headlines. Other than the court hearing in New York, a hearing is held in Atlanta linked to the 2020 election racketeering case against the former president Donald Trump. Lawyers for Trump and his co-defendants want to have Fulton County DA Fani Willis disqualified and the case thrown out of court. Trump's defense team alleges that Willis financially benefited from a personal involvement with lead prosecutor Nathan Wade in the case. A witness identified as Willis's longtime friend and former employee testified that she observed affectionate behavior of hugging and kissing between Willis and her top attorney in late 2019. That contradicts Willis' claims in court filings that their romantic relationship began after she hired Wade as special prosecutor in late 2021.
Do you have personal knowledge of when Willis and Wade met?
Yes. She told me that they met at a conference.
Do you know if Miss Willis and Mr. Wade started dating in October of 2019?
I don't know if it was October of 2019.
Could it possibly be November of 2019?
Could possibly.
Okay. And when we spoke, you said it was shortly after the municipal court conference, though, correct?
Yes.
Both Willis and Wade also took the stand today to answer questions regarding their romantic relationship. The judge could remove Willis and Wade from the case, depending on what they said today and their believability about when their relationship began, and if Willis benefited from the relationship. No one has yet been charged after the deadly shooting in Kansas City yesterday. Kansas City, Missouri police on Thursday said a personal dispute, not extremism, was behind the shooting that took place on Valentine's Day following a rally to celebrate the city's Super Bowl win. The number of gunshot injuries rose to 23. The woman who died has been identified as a 43-year-old Elizabeth Galvin, a beloved local radio personality and a mother of two.
22 victims age range between 8 years old and 47 years old. At least half of our victims are under the age of 16. As mentioned yesterday, we have subjects detained, 2 of which are juveniles.
Police yesterday detained 3 people for further investigation, 1 adult and 2 juveniles. As of Thursday afternoon, the adult has been released after police determined he was not involved. The shooting took place shortly after a rally where thousands of fans gathered with the members of Kansas City Chiefs to celebrate the team's NFL championship triumph over the San Francisco 49ers. Today, the White House addressed a cryptic statement made by a top GOP lawmaker yesterday in the House Intelligence Committee. Republican Representative Mike Turner of Ohio raised major concern on Capitol Hill when he issued a cryptic statement announcing that the panel had information concerning a serious national security threat. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby called it an anti-satellite capability that Russia is developing, but he calmed the public by saying it poses no imminent threat.
This is not an active capability that's been deployed. And though Russia's pursuit of this particular capability is troubling, there is no immediate threat to anyone's safety.
Turner's statement faces blowback even from his GOP colleagues, who criticize it as alarmist, constitute poor judgment. House Speaker Mike Johnson also dismissed it as no need for alarm. But former Defense Secretary and CIA Director Leon Panetta defends Turner's action.
What the chairman was trying to do, perhaps, was to try to send a wake-up call to both the speaker and his Republican colleagues that Russia still remains very much a threat to the United States.
The House voted Thursday afternoon in favor of stripping the Biden administration's authority to permit natural gas export projects, in a blow to the president's climate agenda. But the bill will face an uphill battle in the Senate. The House approved the bill sponsored by Representative August Pluger of gas-producing Texas 224 to 200 on a mostly party-line vote. The bill strips the power to approve the exports from the Department of Energy and leaves the independent Federal Energy Regulatory Commission as the sole body approving natural gas projects. Biden paused the approvals late last month for exports to big markets in Europe and Asia in order to take a hard look at the environmental economic impacts of the booming business. The United States became the largest liquefied gas exporter last year, and its exports are expected to double by the end of the decade. The legislation needs to be passed in a Democratic-controlled Senate and signed by Biden to become law, both of which are unlikely. In Central California, a beehive operator was stung hard after thieves stole nearly 100 hives. Officials say this is nothing new, as tractors and other farm equipment have also been taken from these rural areas.
According to the Fresno County Sheriff's Office, 96 beehives were stolen from a field near Interstate 5, west of Mendota. The hives disappeared between January 28th and 29th. They are valued at nearly $34,000. They are multicolored and are all branded with the letters MEB. If there's information on their whereabouts, the Fresno County Sheriff's Office asks the public to contact them. This is one of many rural crimes growing in the state. Farmers and ranchers have gotten heavy equipment, aluminum pipe, commodities, cattle, and expensive farm chemicals stolen. They are easier targets for vandalism and burglary because they are more isolated compared to the city. According to the California Dairy Quality Assurance Program, California farms lose up to $500 million to theft and other rural crimes every year.
17 people are being charged for smuggling drugs inside fire extinguishers from Mexico into the U.S. 9 have been identified and arrested.
The U.S. Attorney's Office, Central District of California, announced on Wednesday that 17 were charged in a scheme to smuggle fentanyl and other drugs hidden inside fire extinguishers across the U.S.-Mexico border. They had an arraignment scheduled that afternoon. According to court documents, the drug trafficking organization used semi-trucks to import the extinguishers filled with fentanyl, methamphetamine, and heroin from Mexico into the United States. During the 2-year investigation, called Operation Smoke Jumpers, authorities made 13 seizures. 9 defendants were arrested between February 8th and February 12th. 1 defendant was already in state custody. 7 additional defendants were fugitives believed to be in Mexico. The 15-count indictment revealed their charges in drug trafficking and a money laundering conspiracy.
We'll take a short break now, everybody, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. A new bill in Florida would require the history of communism to be taught in schools. See what lawmakers had to say during a recent debate over the proposed law. Georgia state lawmakers passed a bill to require permission from parents to teach gender ideology in class. More on what people are saying. Firefighters help a dog trapped in a sinkhole in California. We'll take a look at the heroic rescue. Those stories and more coming up on NTD Tonight. Welcome back to NTD Tonight. I'm your host, David Zhang. A new bill that would add the history of communism to the public school curriculum in Florida passed its second subcommittee, with only a few in opposition. The vast majority spoke in strong support, with some having personal experience with the political ideology. NTD's Jason Blair reports.
Florida Bill HB 1349 would require the history of communism to be included in public education curriculums,
including their histories and tactics, atrocities committed in foreign countries under the guidance of communism, the philosophy and lineages of communist thought, the increasing threat of communism in the 20th century.
The bill was presented and debated at the Pre-K through 12 Appropriations Subcommittee meeting on Tuesday before being voted on.
I have many friends and constituents that have fled their country due to communism, and the conversations are about they're seeing the same behaviors that happened in their country happening here.
This, to me, seems to be taking communism and elevating it to be something, another thing to divide about.
I was born in Cuba, and because of that, because of the communist regime, we had to flee the island.
A vast majority spoke in favor of the bill, with 3 in opposition.
Because right now we have children that can't read on grade level. And when we're focusing on things that actually divide us as a person, what are your thoughts of that?
I'm glad we talk about divisiveness. Let's ask China and Taiwan about divisiveness. Let's ask North and South Korea about divisiveness.
The bill passed the Pre-K through 12 Appropriations Subcommittee 10-2 and is now in the Education and Employment Committee. If passed into law, the requirement would start in the 2026-27 school year. A governor-appointed Communism Education Task Force would make recommendations on the details of the curriculum. Jason Blair, NTD News.
A proposed Georgia bill aims to prevent private school teachers from discussing gender identity with students unless parents give permission. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the story.
Senate Bill 88, passed by majority Republicans on Tuesday through the Senate Education and Youth Committee, mandates that private schools must receive written consent from all parents before providing instruction on topics such as gender identity, queer theory, gender ideology, or gender transition.
We worked in earnest to make this bill fair while still achieving our goal of making sure children's parents are involved in these sensitive and often life-changing issues.
SB 88 is necessary because queer, gender identity, transgender activism, and the transgender medical industry are aggressively targeting children of all ages, including inside school classrooms. This is a belief system that many people, me included, do not believe in.
Some conservatives view the law as an attempt to control private schools and introduce gender identity into state legislation. They argue it might enable public schools to bypass Georgia's 2022 Parental Bill of Rights, which grants parents authority over their child's upbringing and moral or religious education. However, some individuals from the LGBTQ+ community express support for the bill, stating that transgender activists do not speak for them.
Gender ideology, queer theory should have no place in kids' classrooms. If this Trojan horse of queer theory, gender ideology, is to be allowed in children's classrooms, then we should give power back to the people and allow parents, those who want to opt in, to listen on this gender ideology, to do that, but for others, for parents to have the option to not have that in their classrooms.
Committee Chairman Clint Dixon did not allow opponents to testify.
SB 88 is needed because they are proselytizing this queer sexuality ideology to children. Activists in schools have no business interfering with the parent-child relationship. Do not let schools teach kids to keep secrets from their parents.
Private schools would lose access to state funding allocated for vouchers for students with special educational needs if they breach the law. The measure also mandates that public schools develop policies by January 1st, 2025, outlining procedures for addressing matters related to gender identity, such as a child's desire to dress as a different gender or use a different name. Public schools found in violation of the law would face consequences, including the withholding of state aid and exclusion from the Georgia High School Association. Public school teachers and administrators could risk losing their state teaching licenses. Christina Corona, NTD News.
Firefighters heroically rescued an elderly animal from a sinkhole in California, demonstrating their commitment to saving lives in any situation. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the story.
Firefighters responded to a call to rescue an elderly dog that had become trapped in a sinkhole at its residence in Hesperia. The San Bernardino County Fire shared photos on Facebook and said the canine, identified as Janie, was discovered in the front yard of a residence approximately 15 feet deep in the sinkhole. The owner informed officials that he discovered Janie in the morning and was concerned the elderly dog may have been in the hole overnight. Firefighters reported that Janie appeared cheerful and active at the bottom of the hole upon their arrival. Firefighters evaluated the hole and assessed the stability of the surrounding dirt. They then implemented edge protection measures to disperse pressure and minimize the risk of entrapment or soil collapsing into the hole. The crew determined the hole was then safe to enter and decided to use a ladder to climb down to Janie. The firefighter successfully retrieved the canine and reunited her with her owner. Christina Corona, NTD News, California.
The NHL will host the Stadium Series this week, as well as a new location, and a longtime NHL favorite has begun working out with a new team. Here's Tyler Castillo with more.
The Stadium Series is an annual event set by the NHL where teams compete in an outdoor hockey game. Just like the NHL's annual Winter Classic, where, like the name suggests, the Winter Classic is themed as the vintage era of the NHL. For the Stadium Series, the theme is based on the future of the NHL. This year, it was all the East Coast, as the New Jersey Devils and Philadelphia Flyers are set to play against each other on February 17th, and then the New York Rangers and the New York Islanders will battle for Best of New York on Sunday, February 18th. The NHL also announced that the 2025 NHL Stadium Series will be played at Ohio Stadium, located at Ohio State, for a game between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Detroit Red Wings. It was also confirmed that the NHL was interested in making Ohio home of the Winter Classic for the 2025 season, which would be played in January. However, Ohio State said that they did not want the game to conflict with their end of the football season. Therefore, the Stadium Series will be played at Ohio on March 1st, 2025. Hockey fans have heard of the legendary Phil "The Thrill" Kessel, who recently won the Stanley Cup last season with the Vegas Golden Knights. Phil Kessel has not been with the team since winning the Stanley Cup last season. However, news broke that he traveled to Vancouver to try out with the Vancouver Canucks organization. So you may just be asking, what is so special about Phil Kessel? Well, let me tell you. The 36-year-old is a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, as well as an NHL record holder for the longest Ironman streak. The Ironman streak is a record for playing the most games consecutively without missing any. And Phil Kessel is at 1,064 consecutive regular seasons game played, #1 in the Ironman record holder. Phil Kessel will seek to join the Vancouver Canucks, who is currently ranked first in the NHL standings.
Stay tuned for China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer coming up next. In more China news today, a sea chase turns deadly in Asia. 2 Chinese fishermen are dead after their boat breached the Taiwanese waters. We have the latest details on the incident. More details coming tonight at 9:30 on NTD's China in Focus with Tiffany Meyer. And that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on NTD Tonight every weekday at 9 p.m. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.